Welcome to Unfrazzle, a podcast for solo business owners with a big vision who are ready for a kinder, more sustainable approach to productivity. I'm Louise Miller, and each week I share bite-sized insights to help you step away from the hustle, stop faffing and stay focused so you can make your brilliant ideas happen and make a bigger impact in the world. Before we dive into today's episode, if you enjoy what I'm sharing here on Unfrazzle and you'd like to support the podcast, you can buy me a cuppa by going to buymeacoffee.com/Louise Miller and making a one-off donation. I'll pop a link to that in the show notes. Okay, grab yourself a cuppa and let's get started. Today I want to talk about 5 reasons you haven't made enough progress this year, but first I want you to check in and just be honest with yourself. Have you made enough progress this year? Your instinct might be to think that you haven't. After all, most business owners wish they were further ahead. But one of the things that is so important to do when we take a pause, when we head up to that metaphorical treehouse that I speak about, one of the things we do up there is to look back at how far we've come. So take a moment to remember how things were looking for you in your business this time last year, and then compare that to where you are now. Think about all the things that you have achieved over the last 12 months, and it's entirely possible that you've come way further than you thought. So although I'm going to be focusing on the things that might have prevented you from moving forward in today's episode, that is what I'm here to help you with after all. I want you to celebrate the progress you have made, whilst also getting curious about what might have also held you back. So let's dive in. So the first reason you haven't made as much progress as you might have liked this year could be that you kept changing your mind. So that might mean starting a blog and not finishing it, or committing to setting up a YouTube channel and then a few weeks later deciding against it, putting loads of thought into creating a new group program and then changing your mind. When you keep changing your mind about what's important and what gets your attention, you likely feel that you've spent the year bouncing around all over the place, but with nothing very much to show for it. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes changing your mind is a good thing and it's the right thing to do, because you can't always know if something is a good idea until you try it on for size. So there's nothing wrong with experimenting with something, discovering it's not for you, and then putting it aside. But changing your mind is unhelpful when you're doing so without intention. When you commit to something that you know is a good idea and will make a big impact in your business, but then fear, self-doubt, or kind of wobbly confidence stop you in your tracks and convince you it wasn't a good idea and you should abandon it immediately. The trouble is that we don't always realise that's what we're doing, right? Your subconscious wants to keep you safe. So if it sees you veering into uncharted territory, it will try its best to convince you that it's a bad idea, and that can be really compelling. So if you recognise yourself in any of this, if you do think you've been changing your mind too much, I just encourage you to take a pause and reflect on what's really going on every time you change your mind about what's important for you to work on in your business. And the second reason you perhaps didn't make the progress you wanted to this year is that you said yes to too many things. So people pleasers, I'm talking to you here. This could mean agreeing to a one-to-one call with everyone you meet networking, agreeing to bake cakes for the school fair, saying yes every time someone asks to pick your brain, or booking into loads of events. But it's not just about the yeses that we say to other people. We can also say too many yeses to ourselves. So that might look like saying yes to too many of your ideas all at once, meaning that none of them actually get finished. When you're trying to build a business, every opportunity feels important. What if that conversation with that person is the one that's going to change everything? But when you say yes to everyone and everything, you're not doing yourself or the people and things you're saying yes to any favours. Chances are you're going to end up spreading yourself too thin, trying to do too much, and then not doing any of it very well. Not to mention all of the things you want to be doing in your business that keep getting pushed aside because you're taking on too much. So does any of that feel familiar? What can you do differently in future to make sure you're not overcommitting yourself? And the third reason that maybe you haven't made enough progress this year could be that boredom or discomfort stopped you from moving forward. So how many times over the last year did you sit down to work on something and then 20 minutes later find yourself with your phone in your hand mindlessly scrolling, or reorganising your sock drawer, or signing up for a free thing that looks like it'll solve all of your problems? Unfortunately, even when you're your own boss, it's not possible to spend 100% of your time doing things that feel exciting and fun. Even projects that are exciting and fun will inevitably involve some elements that aren't. So for example, depending on your personality type, creating a new course can be fun, but sorting out the tech and uploading the content, not so much. So when the thing you're working on starts to feel boring, lots of people, particularly creative people, begin to crave novelty. And before they know it, and often without realising it, they're off chasing shiny objects instead of doubling down to finish the thing they started. And then there are the times when you need to do something that is so uncomfortable, it makes you want to hide under your desk and never come out. For you, that could be writing sales posts or reaching out to someone you admire, asking for help, or showing your face on social media so that people get to know you better. Now, we all know that growth often lies just outside our comfort zone, but if every time you feel that stretch, you run from the discomfort and reach for something that feels easy, and again, in the moment, you probably don't realise that's what you're doing. Your subconscious is trying to keep you safe. It's no wonder that you're not moving forward as quickly as you'd like. So when you look back on the last year, how many times did running from boredom or discomfort stop you from making progress? And if the answer is too many, what can you do differently to make sure that that pattern doesn't sabotage your progress next year too? Okay, the fourth reason that you maybe haven't made as much progress as you wanted to this year could be that you didn't protect time to work on the things that would make the biggest impact. And this one kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it? If you allowed your diary to fill up this year and never protected time to focus on the things that mattered the most to the growth of your business, it's no wonder that those high impact things didn't get done, is it? And I know that might sound harsh, but it's true, and I'm saying it with love. So when you allow your diary to be dictated by everyone else, whether that's your clients, the people you're having virtual cuppers with, events that sound too good to pass up, webinars, networking, or even hanging out on social media with no boundaries to protect that from taking way longer than it needs to, finding the time for your own priorities becomes impossible. And it's easy to think we should give the best of ourselves, the best of our time, the best of our energy to everyone else, that we need to show up for our clients first. But if you're not regularly protecting time and space to dedicate to the things you need to do to keep your business growing, your progress will stall and you may end up resenting your business and your clients. So of course you need to show up for your clients at your best, but you also need to show up for yourself at your best. So back when I was a VA, I used to save my business development for the end of the week. And then inevitably, by the time Friday came around, I was either shattered or I needed some time to mop up the things I hadn't managed to get to during the week. I was treating my own business growth as an afterthought when it should have been my top priority. So have you been doing that too? And what can you do differently from now on? Since I started protecting Mondays for my own priorities, which was many years ago now, I have made so much more progress. So what might that look like for you? And the fifth reason that you haven't made enough progress this year could be that you prioritised doing over pausing. So I know I talk about this all the time here on the podcast, but it bears repeating. When you spend all of your time taking action, your productivity suffers. So if you found yourself working harder, trying to speed up, working longer days in an attempt to get everything done, but you still haven't made the progress you wanted to this year, you may have fallen into the trap of spending too much time taking action and not enough time reflecting. And when you're busy, it's even more important to take that step back so that you can evaluate whether you're investing your precious time wisely. Are you running around like a headless chicken doing busy work that isn't actually a good use of your time? Does everything need to be done by you? What can you let go of? You can only answer those questions when you pause, take stock, remind yourself of what you're trying to achieve, and then use that fresh sense of perspective to inform how you're spending your days. So if you've been doing too much doing and not enough pausing this year, how are you going to change that moving forward? One way to make sure you're pausing often is to join us in Make It Happen Club. In fact, coming along to our monthly and quarterly sessions in the club will address everything that we've covered today. You'll notice if you keep changing your mind or saying yes to too many things, you'll spot the patterns that keep you stuck. And you'll consistently prioritise the things that matter most to the growth of your business. So I'll pop a link to Make It Happen Club in the show notes so you can find out more about that if you're curious. And if you're not ready to join Make It Happen Club, I encourage you to consider which of the 5 areas I've talked about today have been holding you back this year, and to think about what you can proactively do to prevent the same thing from happening again next year. And as always, I hope that this helps, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you for listening to Unfrazzle. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend who needs a dose of calm productivity in their life. And I'd love it if you could leave me a rating and a review, as that will help more people discover this podcast. If you'd like to hear more from me to help